Hi everyone. Christmas. That's better. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. Christmas can be a pretty chaotic time. Is that not so? You know, it's kind of, the shops are just bursting with people. Some people have to provide meals for many other people. Others have guests coming down. There's just a lot of chaotic things that go on at Christmas time. But that's not the kind of chaos I want to focus on. Tonight I want to talk to you about some of the stresses and strains and difficulties that Mary and Joseph faced as they brought Jesus into this world. I think often we have a romanticized version of Christmas. I certainly have had a romanticized version of Christmas. And it's only as I've dug down and deep into the Christmas story that I've realized how hectic the Christmas story was and just how traumatic everything must have been for Mary and Joseph. And I want to share some of that trauma with you tonight. How many of you remember kind of going on a really hectic hike or something happened and then kind of weeks later you can only remember all the good times? You know, and then you do those things again, you think to yourself, why did I do this? You know, it's like 18-hour flights, that kind of thing. You know, it's terrible, but then afterwards you had such a good holiday, you can't remember the bad things. So there are also traditions that develop around Christmas. You know, the sheep always have very clean, woolly wool. And, you know, Jesus has always got a shiny face, there it is. So we've got all this kind of mythology that's actually built around the true Christmas story. Some of our carols, I think of Silent Night, talk about Jesus, no crying he makes. You know, was Jesus really a baby that never cried? I'm not so sure about that. And the reason I want to highlight some of the very hard things that Mary and Joseph endured is so that all of us here tonight can see that God can be powerfully at work in our lives, even when it looks as though many, many things are going wrong. Because God's greatest work, bringing Jesus into this world, took place in that kind of chaotic environment. And I'm quite glad that Mary and Joseph had such a rough time, because it brings home the spiritual truth for me, and I'll thank them one day. So let's have a fresh look at the Christmas story with new eyes. This is how the birth of Jesus Christ came about. Matthew chapter 1 verse 18. His mother Mary was pledged to be married to Joseph, but before they came together, she was found to be with child through the Holy Spirit. Right, that's the first problem right there. But today we live in a society where having babies without a husband is commonplace. Nowadays, even two men can have a baby. Through adoption, obviously, but give it time, and that could change as well. In Mary's day, it was a conservative society. And so to have a baby before you were married or to be pregnant was really a bit of a scandal. And Mary knew that it was God, but how was she going to be able to persuade other people that this was God? Because she wouldn't have been the first person to say God did this, to explain an interesting pregnancy. And actually her fiancé, Joseph, he doesn't buy the story. You know, we're told that quite a long time went by where Joseph was obviously wrestling with. He thought he was marrying this lovely woman, and now she's obviously had a relationship with another man. She's pregnant. What's going on here? I've got this all wrong. I'm confused. Can you imagine the heartache that Joseph went through? And so, in a nice way, because he was a good guy, verse 18, Joseph, her husband, was a good guy, a righteous man. He didn't want to expose her to public disgrace. So he had in mind to divorce her quietly. This divorce is not the same as our divorce today. This means to end an engagement, a betrothal, which was a very formalized relationship back in the day. So because she's pregnant, he doesn't believe the whole God did it to me story. So he is wanting to formally end this betrothal, but to do it in a quiet way so as not to embarrass Mary. But can you see how that must have created tension in this relationship between Mary and Joseph? They didn't know the Christmas story. Joseph was living it for the first time. This is unheard of. And Joseph only has a change of mind weeks or possibly months later when an angel appears to him in a dream. We read in verse 20, after he considered this, that implies that time had passed. An angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream and said, Joseph, son of David, don't be afraid to take Mary home as your wife, because what is conceived in her is from the Holy Spirit. Our first life lesson for us as believers, sometimes when we think things are going very wrong, God is actually doing something amazing. I hope that encourages you tonight. Let's read what the angel said. She will give birth to a son. This is all in the dream. You are to give him the name Jesus, because he will save his people from their sins. All this took place to fulfill what the Lord had said through the prophet. The virgin will be with child and will give birth to a son. They will call him Emmanuel, which means God with us. When Joseph woke up, he did what the angel of the Lord had commanded him and took Mary home as his wife. The next challenge has to do with Mary and Joseph's honeymoon. Do you know where I'm going with this? But most people have high hopes for their honeymoon, if you know what I mean. But we read, he had no union with her until she gave birth to a son. The Catholics believe that Mary remained a virgin her entire life. They have a doctrine called the perpetual virginity of Mary. But the Bible teaches us that Mary and Joseph initially didn't have a normal marriage, and nor did they have the kind of honeymoon we dream of. The ceremony's over, the guests have gone home, or you've left early, and now it's time to drink deep and long at the fountain of love. But not for Mary and Joseph. They weren't going to be making those kinds of memories. And friends, this is no small thing. Having a baby is also an emotionally turbulent time for people, for a couple. There are massive hormonal changes taking place in a woman during her 3 trimesters of pregnancy. And husbands need to get with the program. Often there's a touch of postpartum depression. There's a lot that goes on with having a baby. And so here's Joseph. He's kind of recently married. His wife's already pregnant. He's dealing with all of this that's going on. And he had no union with her until presumably quite a long time after Jesus' birth. You're probably not really in the mood when you just had a baby. Think too of what Joseph must have been feeling. You know, it was kind of God speaking to Mary. Mary was the one that was bringing this child into the world, and he's kind of the third wheel, as it were. All he gets to do is name his child, and he's even told what to call him. I think Joseph was a wonderful father. That's why God chose him. But I'm sure, and I know adopted people who have adopted children love them as much as their own. But I wonder if in those early stages, Joseph did feel a little left out of the loop. Then there's the whole thing of having to go on a trip. For many of us, paying tax is an absolute breeze. I mean, some of you don't pay tax, I know. But those of us who do it, in some cases, it just magically disappears with our salary at the end of the month. We don't have to worry about it. It gets sent over to SARS. And thank you for that. But for Mary and Joseph, Caesar Augustus issues this decree. This is now Luke 2, chapter 1, that a census must be taken. The purpose of the census, they're doing some fundraising. Everybody's got to go on this long trip back to where they were born to register and to pay some kind of a tax. Can you imagine how hectic this must have been for Mary and Joseph? To have to travel a long way in a dangerous situation, heavily pregnant. We know she was heavily pregnant because just after they arrived, she gives birth to Jesus. Can you imagine Mary and Joseph finding out, is that for real? Right now, we've really got to go back to Bethlehem? Just because that's where your family comes from. We've got to go now while I'm this pregnant? I'm afraid so, Mary. Again, we think of them riding on a donkey. Where do we get that idea from? Maybe they walked. So in summary, so far, they had some relationship challenges to work through. Not such a great honeymoon. Putting up with a lot of people's gossip, an inconvenient census, an arduous journey. And then, of course, when they get where they're going to, maybe it looked something like that. There is no place for them to stay. Do you know how terrible that is? When you're heavily pregnant, you've gone on a trip, and now there is no place for you to stay. And you've all seen the preschool plays where somebody gets to be the person who knocks on the door and another child opens the door and says, I'm sorry, there's no room. And then they sort of repeat the process. But that's probably not how this happened. There were no hotels back in the day in this place. The Greek word doesn't mean inn. It doesn't mean B&B. In all likelihood, they were going back to stay with family. It doesn't say they went from hotel to hotel like in the play, asking if there was a room to rent. They were going to stay with family, but houses were small back then. And this house of their family was full. So the only place they could be hosted was out in a kind of a cave place where animals used to be kept in winter. I don't know what your hopes are if you're ever planning on having a baby. You know, people spend hours, what should the curtains be? What should the decor be? What shade of pink or blue are we going for here? You know, it's part of the fun of having a baby, all the faff of preparing the room. But they're put in a place reserved for animals. I don't know what they did with the animals. Maybe they just had to go outside. There's no gynae, there are no midwives, there's no pethidine, no birthing pool, no ultrasound scan to see how Jesus is doing. Just a few blankets on the ground. For those of you that have ever imagined giving birth, let that sink in. Maybe a couple of animal skins, is that really your ideal birth environment? Probably not. But the scary thing is that that was God's provision for Mary and Joseph. Have you ever asked yourself the question, why is this all I have, Lord? And the answer may be because that's all you need, and it's adequate. Those are the circumstances in which Jesus was born. Think of the filth, the bacteria. Do you think the thought crossed their minds, Lord, is this the best that you could do for us? Once again, the message I'm preaching tonight is that sometimes when we look at our lives and our circumstances, we can think God has abandoned us. He's not doing for us what we had hoped. But sometimes that is God providing for you in an amazing way. And there were shepherds living out in the fields nearby, keeping watch over their flocks at night. And the angels are so excited that Jesus is now being born, that they kind of come bursting out of the parallel universe of the spirit world and heaven, and boom, boom, they're suddenly in our world, singing and praising God. And they tell the shepherds, you need to get excited about this as well. And they're, oh, what? And then at 2 in the morning, they're knocking on the, well, probably didn't have a door. They're just going into the manger. How's it, Mary? We're here to rejoice with you. A whole lot of angels told us, you've had a baby. Some women don't want to see anyone for 3 weeks after they've had a baby. Here you've got a bunch of shepherds, strangers, rocking up in the middle of the night to congratulate you. And then they have the audacity to go out and tell everybody they can what's happened. There's the story. An angel appeared. The glory of the Lord shone around. They were terrified. And they were told the Messiah's being born, which is the start of the gospel. And this will be the sign to you. You will find him lying in a manger, and there he is. Do you see that this wasn't all easy going for Mary and Joseph? But now they've got to go on another trip. It's within 8 days. They need to have Jesus circumcised. And so they head off to Jerusalem. This is another trip now. And they offer, there they go. And they go to do what the law of Moses required. Matthew 2:22. They took him to Jerusalem to present him to the Lord. By the way, that's just dawned on me right now. What an amazing phrase that is. They're going to Jerusalem to present Jesus to the Lord. Wow. And they offer a pair of doves or 2 young pigeons. And the fact that that is the sacrifice they bring shows that they were poor people. Because that's what the poor people offered. Often we think having lots of money is a sign of God's blessing. Friends, it's not. Mary and Joseph were poor. Once again, that was God's provision for them. And then Jesus is dedicated at the temple. And there are all sorts of prophetic people there that want to get in on the action. And I've done many dedications, and you want it to be encouraging. And you assure the parents that they know it anyway. What a fine child. they've brought into the world. This is what Simeon says at Jesus' dedication after his circumcision. He looks at Mary and says, this child is destined to cause the falling and rising of many in Israel, and to be a sign that will be spoken against, so that the thoughts of many hearts will be revealed, and a sword will pierce your own soul too. That's not a great prophetic word to be given. Your son's going to polarize people. Some people are going to love him and other people are going to hate him. And ultimately, Mary, because of the son, it's going to be like a sword going through your soul. And that was obviously fulfilled when Mary stood at the cross with John, watching Jesus being crucified by the religious leaders of the day. We're almost getting to the end. But there are a few more terrible things that happened to Mary and Joseph, and I didn't want to leave them out. Joseph is having a sleep. Occasionally you do get some sleep when you're a baby. And he has a dream. And the dream is, Joseph, take Mary, take Jesus, and get out of here fast. And they head off to Egypt. Stay there until I tell you, for Herod is going to search for the child to kill him. I don't know how many of you that have brought babies in this world have had people actively trying to kill your child. At the Willow Creek Leadership Summit, we heard the testimony of a woman who was in the Rwandan context and had to hide in a bathroom, I think, for 4 weeks with 3 other women. A powerful story. That's someone that just had to run in the middle of the night and hide. And that's a similar situation here with Jesus. They're effectively refugees. They're in Egypt. They're Jews, now they're in Egypt. They have no roots there, no security, no friends. There's the xenophobic attitudes of the Egyptians towards them. They can't even speak Egyptian. Friends, when you've just had a baby, you don't really want to have to just grab your stuff and run because someone's trying to kill your child. But that's what happened to Mary and Joseph. And after some months, maybe years, they're able to go back to Galilee, where they're originally from. And so Jesus grew up then in Nazareth. You know the story. So in conclusion then, how does this reality of the first Christmas sit with the romanticized version? There is quite a difference, isn't there? You don't see Christmas cards with Jesus and Joseph and Mary fleeing to Egypt. I mean, I should bring out a range of Christmas cards. A honeymoon with a difference. I mean, we can think of lots of slogans here. But I like this real version of Christmas because, as I said, it shows us that even when hard things are happening in our lives, and sooner or later something terrible is going to happen in your life or mine, that's just how life is. Jesus says every day's got enough trouble of its own. And the wonderful thing of the Christmas story is that God is as much at work in the hard things of our lives as the so-called good things. Sometimes in the midst of chaos and hardship and challenge and pain and frustration, God is most profoundly at work. Isn't that hugely encouraging? I mean, I'm blown away by how encouraging this is. You see, I'm much more encouraged than you all, but it will sink in. Okay, let's pray, and Kelly and the team come on up. We're going to sing and focus on the Lord's song. Lord, most of us here have heard the Christmas story since we were 3 years old. We've acted in nursery school plays. We've sung in the school choirs. We've received the cards. We've seen the movies. We know the Christmas story. But Lord, as we delve a little bit deeper into your word, we see that actually there's a hang of a lot going on in Mary and Joseph's lives. And a lot of it must have been very, very hard to deal with. Thank you, Lord, that we can take courage today, that in the midst of frustrations and curveballs and things going wrong, that you can still be powerfully at work. Lord, this gives us hope, and in you we base our peace and our joy. Help us to be satisfied with the provision that you've given us. And Lord, this Christmas, give us all a new appreciation of what you went through for us. And all God's people said amen.